So as you can see, what I did, I have already configured the domain controller. So I hope you have some idea like what is domain controller, what is Active Directory users and computers, correct? Any doubt in that?
No.
Okay, so as you can see, let me open my Active Directory users and computers, and this is my domain techmtech.com. In your case, domain may be different, okay? And here I have created one admin user with my name Mahesh Singh, and let me click on the properties. So this is the logon name, and as you can see, it is a member of administrators. Okay, so it is a full domain administrator. Okay, in my case, and I also created one DDC machine. So actually, this is not configured yet. The reason is that let me open the server manager, and as you can see here, this is a computer name, and this machine is not into my domain right now. Okay, so now actually this is a complete fresh machine. I just installed OS only. Okay, and as you can see, this is getting IP address from my DSCP server. So I have configured DSCP in my domain controller only. So let me open it from here. Here is the DSCP. So as you can see here, I am having multiple machines here, but doesn't matter. So I can where is our machine? Anyway, we will check it after rename. It should be like desktop, or this machine could be okay 662022. So what we can do, we can check the IP 10.53. So where is 10.53? Okay, so this is a machine that is getting IP address. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to join this machine into our domain. So for the same, click here, change, and now let's name it to DDC and join it to the domain. Mhm. So now I have to enter my domain user credentials. Okay, and this is a simple step, correct? Like how we join a machine into domain, correct? Any doubt in that?
No.
Okay, so our machine is getting rebooted. Let's wait for it, and after that, what we have to do, we have to join. We have to log in into this machine with domain user account. Okay. So now I have to log in here with my domain user account, and let me enter my domain user password. Okay, any doubt in that? What we did, we just joined one machine into our domain, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but I forgot one thing. Like as I told you earlier, we will be requiring at least 6 GB of RAM for this machine, correct? So
Okay.
let me shut it down for now, and we have to increase the memory of for this machine. Okay, so wait for it. Let me edit the machine settings into the memory, and let's make it 6 GB. It should be 6144 MB, correct? Okay, so now our machine is having 6 GB of RAM, that is fine. Click OK and power it on again. So far, as you can see here, the machine which I'm using right now this machine having 32 GB of RAM, okay,
Okay.
and one i5 processor with for physical cores and 16 logical cores, and the SSD I am using is NVMe Samsung 512 GB, and my secondary hard drive is my USB expansion drive, and the size is 1 TB for this, okay. So now our machine is powered on. Now log in again. Let's wait for it to complete the download. Actually, it's consuming my bandwidth. My voice is proper now for you.
Yes, I can hear you properly.
Okay, let's wait for 21, 23 seconds. Let's wait to complete that stuff. Do you have any idea what is Citrix provisioning services? That is PBS.
No.
Okay, actually it is a part of L2 kind of troubleshootings. Okay, so once we complete that stuff, then I will let you know how to configure the things like in PBS. Okay, because in
Okay.
production we always using the PBS services, not MCS. So right now I'm explaining you the MCS part as it comes under the L1. Okay, that is for Citrix certified associates. Okay,
Okay.
so okay, download is finished. So okay, so now we are into our machine. So as you can see, it's a fresh machine and I just joined that machine into my domain. So as you can see here on local server. So now this is the host name and this is my domain. Okay. And this machine is getting IP address from my DSCP server and IP address is 10.53. Okay. You have two options. Either you can provide a static IP, that is completely fine. But as I am running DSCP server in my domain, so my machines are getting IP address from DSCP server itself. Correct. It's quite easy to manage the distribution of IP addresses through DSCP server. Correct. So now what we have to do, we have to configure that delivery controller as a core component for Citrix. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to mount the ISO file for Citrix virtual and desktop, virtual apps and desktop. So as you can see now, our ISO file is mounted. So now we just have to install few core components here. Click yes. So now we are going to configure this machine to deliver virtual application and desktop both. Correct. So as you can see here, we are getting two options here. If you want to publish applications only, you can continue with option 1, but for our learning perspective we are going to publish both the things like virtual application and desktop to our end users. So what we will do, we will go with the second one. Okay, now it is asking like what I like let me make it full screen. Okay, so now it is asking for the configuration type, like what you have to configure. So we are not going to select the second one. Why? Because we have to configure this as a delivery controller. Correct. And second one is for desktop operating system. This option will be useful when in upcoming sessions when we will deploy or we will publish the application and desktop to end users. Okay. This will be helpful to create the master images and machine catalog. So what are the master images and what is machine catalog, that I will let you know in upcoming sessions. Okay. So now simply we have to click on delivery controller. Actually, that installation will be lengthy. It's a number of prerequisites are there. Like it will install the SQL, it will install the C++, and multiple installation will be running in parallel. So that installation may take some time. So this is a license agreement. we have we have to accept. If you want, you can read it, but I'm not going to read it now. Simply click on next. So now these are the core components which we have to configure, like delivery controller, the Citrix Studio, the director, and the license server, what I explained you, correct, in that presentation. So we are
Yes.
going to select each and every core component. Why? Because we are going to configure this machine as a core component with all the core components. Okay, simply click on next. So now these are the features which will be required. Okay, the SQL Server and Windows Remote Assistant, and Windows Remote Assistant is used for troubleshooting purpose, correct? And SQL Server is used for a database. Okay, so in production, if you are running any separate SQL Server, you can uncheck this for sure. But so far, we do not have any separate SQL Server, so we are going to deploy SQL Server on this machine only. But in production, always you will get a different, or you will get a separate SQL Server which is running in your organization. So in that case, what we have to do, you have to create few database in that SQL Server. Okay, simply click on next. So this is very much important port numbers for interview perspective. So you should have to remember all this. After this, I will share that recording to you, and you can refer the recording, and also I will share a few documents to you in which all those port numbers will be there. Okay, so you always have to keep remember those port numbers. Okay, so we have two options here, like either we can manually open those port numbers into our firewall, or we can automatically select. So with that automatic option, it will automatically open all the port numbers into that server firewall. Okay, so we will continue with the automatic. So am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay, so here is the summary, like what we have selected: the installation directory, the prerequisites, like as I told you, multiple prerequisites will be there, like .NET Framework 4.8, localhost cache, then SQL Server, Microsoft IIS services, and Windows Remote Assistant. And these are the core components: delivery controller, studio, director, and license server. This will be a feature installation, and these are the port numbers. Okay, so first it will install all the prerequisites from ISO itself. Then after, it will install all the core components, then features, then it will open few firewall ports. Okay, so simply click on install. So during the installation, it may ask you to reboot your machine multiple times. So every time, what you have to do, you have to restart, and you have to log in with the same domain user account from which you have initiated the installation progress. So in my case, as you can see here, I am using this domain user account. Okay, so in your case, user account may be different, but every time you have to use same user account. Okay, until installation get finished. Got it? So now what we have to do, we have to wait for 20 minutes, but as per my personal experience, it will take somewhere around 35 to 40 minutes to get this done. Okay, so let's wait for it. Apart from that, let me explain you something else, because it will take some time. So this is the hypervisor that I have created. So actually, this is simple. This is simply a Linux machine. Okay, and how to install that machine on VMware Workstation Pro, I will share separate a video to you. It is simple installation, like how you install Windows 10 or Windows Server. Okay, have you ever installed any Linux machine earlier in your career?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a kind of simple installation process, but we have to perform all the operations on CLI mode, like you cannot use your mouse during the installation, correct? So I will share a separate video. In this machine, I have done nothing. I just installed the operating system, and that operating system is getting IP address again from my DSCP scope. Okay, so as you can see here, if I go here into here, let me enter the password for root user, and as you can see, this is getting IP address 10.55. That is my subnet. This is the gateway, and this is the host name for this machine. Okay, so this is a simple installation. If you want, I will present you, but it will take some time. So I will share a simple video to you. You can watch that video, and after that you will be able to know how to deploy operating system, because deploying a operating system is not a big deal, correct? So if you ever installed any Linux flavor, there will be nothing
Yes.
complicated for you. Okay,
Yes.
so no worry. Okay, so apart from that, as it will take some time, as you can see, still showing 20 minutes remaining. So do you have any doubt so far? If you have, we can discuss, because we have much time. Okay, I'm
Okay.
putting on you mute. I have to drink some water. Okay.
Okay.
So today is a holiday for you. Hello.
Sorry.
Today is off for you, or you have to?
No. No. Thursday, Friday is off for me.
Thursday and Friday means, okay, means 4 or 5 days remaining for your next weekly off. Correct.
Yes. Right.
Okay. So any doubt, anything? If you have any query or concern, you can ask.
Okay. Why we require Zen server here?
Okay. So actually, it is the hypervisor. Do you know what is hypervisor? What are hypervisors, and why we are using virtualization?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Why?
It's application. Sorry. It's an so. Uh,
Okay, so as you can see, it is asking to reboot. So let me close that pop-up, and it will reboot. And after that, I will log in with the same user account, and it will automatically initiate the installation. Okay.
okay.
Yes. So where we are, why we use hypervisor or virtualization?
Hypervisor is a thing where we can install multiple operating systems.
Yes. So, and why we require it?
To maximum utilization of that available resource or hardware.
Mm-hmm. Basically, what we will do, we have to utilize our hardware to its maximum efficiency. Okay. So
Okay.
that is the only reason why we virtualize the things. So first, let me log in here. So as you can see, it will automatically initiate the installation process. So coming to the hypervisor. So this is a hypervisor. Okay. So if I go here into the settings, so as you can see here, I have allocated 8 GB memory to this hypervisor. Okay. Either I can increase memory to 16 GB as well, and the hard drive I have allocated is 120 GB. So whatever the virtual machines we will create, we will create all the virtual machines on this particular hypervisor only. Okay. So
Okay.
just suppose, so far I'm having 8 GB of RAM for that hypervisor. So what I will do, I can create 4 virtual machines in this hypervisor with 2 GB of memory each, correct?
Yes.
In the similar way, as you can see, I have allocated 120 GB of hard drive. So I can split that hard drive into 4 segments for 40 GB hard drive for each virtual machine, correct? So what we will do, when we will publish application and desktop to our end users, all those machines will be hosted on this hypervisor only. Okay, that is
Okay.
the motive
Yeah.
to use that hypervisor, correct?
Okay.
So in production, what we do in production, just suppose you are having one Dell server. Okay, so you will directly install that operating system on physical hardware itself, correct?
Mhm.
After that, you can access that hypervisor through URL or through any application. Okay, and you
Okay.
can deploy multiple virtual machines on this hypervisor. Okay, okay. So let me show you here in console. So to manage the Citrix hypervisor, we are having one desktop application which is called as Gen Center. Okay,
Okay.
so as you can see, it is a Linux machine. So it's quite not possible to manage the Linux machine in CLI mode, correct? So we must needed some GUI mode. Okay, so
Okay.
this is a GUI mode for to manage the hypervisor. So let me remove this first. Now we have to add one hypervisor here. So let me enter the IP address. It's 10.56 or 55. What is it?
55.
Yeah, it is 55. So let me enter 55 here. And root is the local administrator for every Linux machine, correct?
Yes.
So now let me enter the password for that root user. So it will sync up my hypervisor, this hypervisor, okay? Gen server 01. So as you can see here, now I am connected to Gen server 01. And if I go to console here, it is asking for password. So let me enter the password. So I just have to type a simple command which is known as access console.
Okay.
After that, you will get the same screen, correct? What you are
Okay.
getting here, okay? So that means you are connected to your hypervisor. So now what we have to do, we have to deploy some machines on this hypervisor. Okay, so for the same, you can right click here, new virtual machine, or you can select from here as well, new VM. Okay,
Okay.
and from here you can select templates. We are having multiple predefined templates like Windows 10, Windows Server, and CentOS. Multiple operating system is there. Okay,
Okay.
so just suppose we have to deploy Win10. Okay, so just select Win10 and let's name it as Win10. And now it is asking for some ISO media to install the operating system, correct? So far we do not have any ISO media, doesn't matter. I am just clicking on next. So as you can see, now it is showing like, only 6.2 GB memory is available on your hypervisor. Okay, so that is completely fine. Click on next. So let me change the topology. So now here we have to select the memory, like how much memory I want to allocate to this virtual machine. So as I told you earlier, we are having only 6 GB of memory available, so we can make it 2, correct? Simply click on next. So as you can see, this will be going to utilize only 24 GB of hard drive, correct? So
Correct.
this is what we called the uh, if, have you ever heard about the hard drive provisioning?
No.
No. So okay, so if we talk about the virtualization and if we talk about the provisioning for hard drive, so there is two kind of provisioning available for hard drive, that is thin provisioning or thick provisioning. Okay, in thin provisioning, the amount of hard drive which is used to uh, publish or to deploy the virtual machine is the minimum what will be the requirement for us to reduce the cost of our hardware, correct? Because our, for virtualization, our basic motto is to reduce the cost for production, correct? Because just suppose if you want to deploy 100 servers, okay, so to procure physical 100 hardware, it will be a quite costly for every organization, correct? So what we will do, we will procure one hardware with higher configurations and we can deploy multiple servers on this physical hardware as a virtual machines, correct? In that
Yes.
way we are managing the things. Okay, so just suppose if you have to install Windows 10 on any physical hardware or on your physical laptop, correct? So in that case, you will never be able to configure Windows 10 machine on 24 GB of RAM, correct?
Correct.
So that is the only thing. So let's simply click on next. Then next. So this is a summary. Okay, but we do not have any ISO media, correct? So right now I'm going to cancel this. So now our first task for this machine is to provide or is to attach any ISO media through which we can easily easily pick up the ISO medias and we can easily deploy any operating system through those ISO medias, correct? So for the same, I have to add one ISO library. So let me open my ISO folder here. So let me share this folder. Okay, so it is already shared actually. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to add this path to my gen center. So now I have to add new storage here and I'm going to add one ISO library. Let name it as ISO library. So it will be identical, like everyone will be able to identify like only ISO medias are stored here. Okay. Next, now I have to enter my ISO media path. So I'm going to enter the IP address here 192.168.10.1. This is the IP address for my local machine. Okay, and now I have to enter the credentials of my local machine. So this is how we add ISO library to hypervisors. Okay, so listen, we always have two options to install any operating system, either from CD DVD or either from the ISO media, correct? Or you can use the USB drive as well, correct? So but when you are operating things remotely, just suppose you have joined anywhere as a data center admin, so it is quite impossible not to insert CD or DVD every time for every operating system deployment, correct? So this is the only reason why we are using the ISO library. So let me click on finish. Something wrong, unable to mount. Why? Why? Let me check the password again. No, something wrong, like 192.168.10.1. Okay, let me check the IP address of my local machine first. It's 10.1, that is completely fine. Let me try to open that path. Oh, why it's using hash with backslash key? I think there is something wrong with my layout. Okay, 192.10.1/ISO. Okay, the path is completely fine. There might be some something wrong when I was entering the password. So now try to enter. Okay, so as you can see, our ISO library is added now, and if I click on storage here, you will get all the ISO files, correct? What
Correct.
we was having. So earlier what happening, actually when I'm entering the credential, my keyboard layout was in UK. So when I'm typing the at the rate, so it was typing hash. Okay. So that was the reason. Okay. So as you can see here, it's still installing and 16 minutes remaining. So after the installation, what we have to do, we have to configure this machine as a core component. Okay, so so right now we are just installing the components, nothing else. Okay, we are just it is just an installation part. Okay, but I'm having some limitations on my Zoom call. I think you also got the same pop-up for 10 minutes remaining earlier, correct? Have you got that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so what I have to do, I have to disconnect the session, otherwise it will be automatically disconnected after 40 minutes. Okay, and it's almost about to complete actually. So what I will do, I will wait for it, okay, for 13 minutes, and once it is completed, we will connect with configuration part. Okay,
Okay.
so it's 9 o'clock now, and when your shift will be started?
No, it's like 3 o'clock. I have to join. 2:30.
Okay, okay, so what I will do, after this, I will take my breakfast, then I will connect with you. Okay, somewhere around 10 or 10:30 or 11. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and let it be. Actually it will take some time. Right now it's showing 20 minutes, 12 minutes remaining, but for sure it will take more than 20 minutes. Okay,
Okay. So can we connect by 10 or what?
10 or by 10:30. Okay,
Okay. So I'm going out. Just ping me before at least 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes to connect.
you just take your time, and once you reach home, you please call me. Okay, I'm at my home today. Okay, not an issue.
Yes.
Okay, buddy, bye.